Right then.
I thought I was going to say right then first, and I hesitated. I lost.
You snooze, you lose.
I hesitated and I lost.
Anyway, even all on this hot evening, we've been moaning about the weather in the UK for so long. We've come back from Italy that was sweltering, and it's sweltering. We've got a fan over there, we've got a fan there, and we've got windows open everywhere. So hopefully won't get too hot and bothered during the next hour.
But the consolation is we've done 75 loads of washing.
We have, because it's getting dry.
We've actually just started taking washing in now because it's so hot in the conservatory. We've done. We've earned £300 this week, haven't we?
Yeah.
Washing.
So anyway, lovely to see so many of you in the comments already. If you've got a question for us, for those that have been following us on social media, on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you'll know that we've just spent a most fantastic week on Royal Clipper, traveling or cruising the coast of Italy, which has been absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, but we're here to ask. What are you doing? You're here. You'll put me on. We're here to answer any cruise or travel questions that you have. So if there's anything that you want to ask us, then please do. We've just set a new parameter for our live as well, because we've had a few odd people appearing from time to time. So to make a comment, you have to be subscribed for a minute to our channel, and we thought maybe that'll keep away a few of the weirdos. But anyway, so if you are having trouble commenting, you want to just check you are subscribed. So there we are.
And it's free. Don't forget,
it's free. Yeah,
free
it's free to subscribe to our channel. So,
and if you're subscribed and you hit the old ding dong button on there as well, you'll get notified when we release any new material.
Exactly.
Cool. I knew that. Not.
You did. So Warren said it was quite an adventure. It really was. For those of you who don't know, and I'll just put a few pictures up here that have no idea what Royal Clipper is. I will show you exactly what that is by putting this picture up here, and you'll see why it was such an adventure. Look at this. How awesome was that? Let me take Warren's comment off there a moment so you can actually see. But this was the ship that we spent 7 nights on. It's a full rigged mast sail ship.
It is. And this is an actual photograph that we took. This is not stock footage.
No.
And if you look on the front pointy 8 nose bit, which is called
the bowsprit, apparently.
The bowsprit, which is all one word, you'll see that there's about 10 or 12 sailors up there. They're crazy, man.
Yeah. So it was a very unique cruise. It was absolutely wonderful on so many levels. So if you've got any questions about Royal Clipper, we'll go through what our sort of best moments are as the chat's going on. But if you've got any questions, then please do let us know. So let's just get that off there. And this is the itinerary that we did, for those that don't know, which was absolutely fabulous, wasn't it?
It was very good.
Yes. So let's get back to the comments and see what questions we've got. As I say, it is not just Royal Clipper. You can ask us anything
you like.
Yeah,
anything you like. We won't answer it if it's stupid, but just anything you like.
So, Sean's here, our lovely patron from Edinburgh, who spent how many weekends ago was that? It was about 3 weekends ago in Edinburgh. It's just staying. If you have got a question for us, please start it with questions so we can spot it in the chat. Because the chat just works very, very quickly.
I'm going to go 2 weekends ago because it was your birthday weekend. So that should be a clue, shouldn't it?
Yes, because then we were straight on a roll. Yes, that's true.
It's still
older and wiser.
Older.
No. I want to say and give a good shout out for Kevin, one of our patrons too. Kevin it's been so sad watching the news about Jasper in Canada. And Kevin he's just a good bloke that he's been out there volunteering and helping with the evacuation with all the fires out there. So we've been thinking of you a lot, Kevin, as you know, as we've been messaging you to check that you're okay too. But you just definitely deserve a shout out for doing what you do. So let's see if we got a question. So many people saying hello. Hello. Let's see. Nix and Tracy have got one. As vlogging editing takes up quite a lot of your time, have you thought about doing a video to show your subscribers what is involved in making a video?
No.
Well, actually, I got a list in my book of all the ideas that I've got that I could do videos on. The problem is, it's just time, isn't it? It's just.
If you want to see my process, it's a video of me sat over there on the sofa watching the telly with Carole going, "What are you doing now? I'm working, Annie." And I go like that, and sometimes I haven't even got a computer there. So And I genuinely don't get away with it then. But I'm just looking for them photos you asked me for, or just looking for this, just looking for that. And she's like, well, you haven't even got anything in your hands. Only the remote control.
Exactly that. But yeah, I would love to get and do more. We get lots of questions about packing and stuff. But maybe one day we'll get round to doing them. But at the moment, I'm sort of working through our vlogs and etc.
A beginner's guide to iMovie. I can see it now.
Can you? Right, let's have a look. Barbara's here from Melbourne. So hi, Barbara. So that must be very, very early in the morning. Patrick and Francis are baking hot in London. Yeah, everyone's hot. And Andy and Carla, even though just made it on time for the live, been watching the Olympic tennis. We have too. We love the gymnastics. Believe it or not, in my youth, I was pretty good at gymnastics. I got to county level. But that's obviously a long, long time ago. So I always love watching the gymnastics.
You do.
We've enjoyed the swimming too.
We don't want any spoilers because we're
No.
watching it and we're recording it now. So we're going to watch it after. So if we could avoid any gymnastic results,
yes,
we'd be very grateful.
Do. So Faith is asking, how does Royal Clipper compare to other cruises you've been on in terms of experience and port visits?
The only thing we've done that's anywhere near it is we did a Sail Croatia thing about, I want to say 2 years ago now, a couple of years ago, and that only had 42 passengers, something like that, 40-ish passengers, very small ship, but it wasn't a sailing ship, but it was a very small ship, and what it did is it docked every day in a different port and it stayed overnight in the port. But every morning you stopped for a swimming stop. But it wasn't, that's as close to being that. With the Royal Clipper, it's 227 passengers, I believe. It's got obviously all the proper sails, we've had a lot of questions. Do they use the sails? Yeah, the sails are not decorative. The sails are used pretty much all the time. As long as the weather is conducive with using sails, they use the sails. They might not be using all of them at one time, but they're definitely using some. And they only really use the engines for maneuvering in and out of port. And we only had to do that twice, which is when we started, well, 3 times, obviously. When we left Cyprus.
Yes, we could say that word
all
so
the ports
well.
Thus on from there were tender ports, so we would just anchor, so we were out into the sea anyway. And then we had one port where we were docked, which was
Gaeta, which was the last port, which was
a lot of Roman history there. And then obviously the last port, which was Cyprus, where we docked up. But lots of use with the sails, and you really felt like it was a proper sailing experience, like you were a sailor.
Yeah,
but
honestly,
I didn't drink any rum.
No, you didn't.
Or
I'd like to say
sever a leg.
2 good points that Paul brought up there is out of all of our ports, all the ports were tenders bar one. So if you don't like tenders and your mobility isn't very good, then Royal Clipper would be very difficult. And the water was quite choppy on a few days, wasn't it? When we were trying to tender into Sorrento in particular, wasn't it? It was really quite wet, and also into Amalfi. It was really quite choppy. So it's quite challenging. And the staff were brilliant because they're so safety conscious and that, weren't they? It was you were taught how to hold on. That was the first time I'd been taught how to hold on. Don't be a wussy. Of course you can all the way through. We're going to do this for the rest of the life. There's no like holding hands. It has to be a proper like that. And if you don't hold his hand properly like they'll say stop.
They won't let you on the tender.
Yeah. So it was the crew were fantastic, from the sailors right through to the captain. They were all very sociable, weren't they, and very visible around the ship. But that's a really good point about tenders, because I know I put a post there, if you've been looking at our social media, of some of the reels that we've done, because the ship is just beautiful. And we talked about tenders, and some people just don't like tenders. And if you don't like tenders, then this will be very difficult for you.
But also, there's a lot of stairs inside the ship.
Yeah.
And unless it was so well hidden, it was unbelievable. There's no lifts.
No.
So there's no...
Yeah.
There's no way that if
and
you can
to answer this
wheels...
question in terms of sort of experience from a conventional cruise, the elements such as dining, bar facilities, they were all there, but obviously on a smaller scale. Dining was phenomenal. The food was excellent.
Sure.
Gratuities are not expected, but they do advise that you pay I keep saying dollars, €8 per person per day. So there are some common elements from ocean cruising, such as those. However, a lot of it is very different. And we'll go on to some of our special bits, which was sailing away and the sails and the music and the pools and the actually swimming directly into the ocean. So we'll go on to those in a moment. So let's have a look to see. So many people here. Look, Kenga's Cruising and Dave Holland and Sherry. Andy and Carla are asking a very good comment, because how did you manage with your rather cozy cabin? Now, for those that don't know which cabin we had, we booked the cheapest category on Royal Clipper, which is category 6 inside cabin.
That's how big our bed was.
Well, it was really challenging. We walked in and I thought, oh my, this is going to be difficult. It was a cabin that could sleep 3. How, I never know, because even if when you were thinking about storage for 3, it was just like, where would you put stuff? Obviously, when we get to doing our Royal Clipper vlogs, we will be doing a cabin tour. But we had to learn to sort of dance around the room, didn't we? Because you couldn't both do things together. So we would just
I like, to be honest. But
no. So
it's your turn to go out tonight, Annie.
No. But so we had to learn. And after, it took about a day or so, didn't it, I suppose? And then we learned, we were sort of a bit like synchronized sort of dancing around the cabin. From a comfort point of view, the bed was comfortable, but we did find it's a small double. And Paul, bless him, volunteered, you did, didn't you, to go near the wall under the shelf that had the other bed that could fold down. And I was on the outside, but still had a cupboard by the side. So I would end up banging my head on the cupboard. Paul would end up banging his head on the lamp. Lamps were right behind and you couldn't push them up. You could only push them to the sides. So that would be our main gripes, wouldn't it, about that?
When the cabin video comes out, you'll see exactly what we mean. My recollection of volunteering is a bit different to Carole's. When we stayed in the Strand Palace, which you've seen the video for that, once again, the bed was up against the wall. And we always sleep on the same side of the bed, regardless, no matter where we are in the world, we sleep on the same side of the bed. When we got to the Strand Palace, it meant the Carole was against the wall. When we got on the Royal Clipper, it meant the Carole was against the wall. But apparently, because she'd been gracious and slept the one night against the wall, it meant that the next 7 nights it was my turn. So that's my recollection of me volunteering.
Well, anyway, it was very cozy, but it was because it was an inside cabin, it was very dark, and that was a good plus, because we did sleep actually mostly quite well, didn't we? We had a fabulous cabin steward called Randy, who was just so funny and just looked after us perfectly. They still do your 2 turn downs, don't they? Yeah. Royal Clippers, which I know a lot of cruise lines now have stopped that, haven't they? They just do the one. So that was lovely. The Royal Clipper chocolate on your pillow. So all the touches like that were still there. That you don't get, you get small amount of products. So my big advice to anyone with got long hair that you need to sort out is bring your own shampoo and conditioner and toiletries, because there are some, but they're in tiny little bottles. And trying to get them out was just, for me, it was just a bit frustrating. But no, it was fine. If I went on another, well, I'm sure when actually, because Royal Clipper, we thoroughly enjoyed it. When we go on Royal Clipper again, then I would definitely save up that little bit more money and have a bigger cabin. But it's not cheap.
That's enough big cabins now.
Yeah, it's not cheap. That cost us £2,300 per person. So, and I like to be
that's including
that's
flights
including flights actually, flights and transfers. Yeah. So actually the cabin cost was a bit less than that, obviously. Yeah. But we like to be clear on what we've paid for and what we haven't. So I just wanted to say that. Right. So hi PNC from Mike the Leech is in hot Munich. So everywhere's hot then. So everyone's saying hello. So Barbara's just asking, I know they are all different, especially their own ways, but which do you prefer? Ocean, river, yacht cruising? I like them all.
Yeah, we like them all. They've all got their own merits. I mean, with river and yacht cruising, the entertainment, like going back to when we did sail Croatia, there was no entertainment at all. There was no entertainment whatsoever, but every night you were in a port, so you could get off and do your own thing. There was entertainment on Royal Clipper. They had a Filipino duo on there that was entertaining you throughout the day. They also had a crew and passenger talent show, which was
brilliant,
which was fabulous.
Fun.
They had some local entertainers on in one of the ports.
Yeah.
And so there was entertainment, but it wasn't anywhere near the standard that you would get on an ocean cruise. So that would be the different thing. And we've done 2 river cruises, and on the TUI one there was a lot of entertainment, and on the Avalon one there was virtually no entertainment. So it's the biggest difference it would be for me is entertainment. The food on the yacht was fabulous. The food on Sail Croatia was very good as well. So you weren't missing out on food. But what you couldn't get, which is I think was the same on river cruising, is you had your set meal times, and outside those meal times there wasn't anywhere at all you could get food.
Well, you could get fruit.
There wasn't anywhere that you could get food, proper food, not a banana or an apple, food.
No, which is fine because we ate very sensibly on there, I think, which is good. You don't need to eat 24 hours a day. However, I think if you had to put me on the spot and say which were those 3 types of cruising could only do for the rest of your life, obviously you'd have to pick ocean because of the scale of variety. Yeah. But I would go on ocean, river, and obviously clipper cruises again at any time.
It's just a lovely change.
Experience. It was such a chilled experience because there was, that deck, the sun deck, when you're going along, there's no music that's playing apart from when the sails go up. When the sails go up, which is quite a fantastic thing when you're leaving port, it's played by this Vangelis in it, Conquest of Paradise song, which is quite a haunting song, but the sails go up, and that's making me go goosebumpy now. That is something special that you just don't get on any other ship. The other thing that's so special about this cruise was actually when we did sail away from Gaeta, you can sit literally behind the bridge, and your captain, you can see the pilot walk on, and the captain and the pilot are literally 3 foot in front of you, talking on the radios. The guys doing the ropes, the guys doing the sails. There's still a big wheel they use.
Proper wheel, like Pirates of the Caribbean.
That was pretty special.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That was pretty special. Yeah. And also one evening for entertainment, they did a light show with the sails, and that was just beautiful.
Yes.
So Barbara, I'm sorry if we haven't really answered your question, but Barbara said she loves the hair. Do you know, it's because I'm so hot, I've just got to get it off my neck because it's just so, but thank you. Maybe I'll wear a big ponytail to the side all the time. So let's, Claire said it's hot and sticky in Essex. Scorching in Derby with Rock Dock. Gosh. What's me lovers? Well, from the Shire, right then. What's me lovers? So, gosh, so many people here. Davina, Sean says, thanks, Carol. I'll not take it personal. Anyway, let's see. Morris is asking. So let's have a look. Morris, what was the best unexpected thing about Star Clippers?
I think, I know this just might be sort of be a default answer because I'm greedy guts. I was really surprised on not only the dining room, which was fabulous, but the standard of food. Thought the standard of food was absolutely exceptional.
It was.
And included on the captain's night where they had fillet of beef or lobster. And unlike a lot of cruise lines, I said I'd like fillet of beef and lobster. And they said, yeah, no problem at all. We'll bring it out in this order. And they still do the proper old baked Alaska parade.
Yeah, with them on fire.
With them on fire.
And that was brilliant because we all had the old napkins going. And that doesn't happen very much anymore, does it? So there are elements of it that really took us back to our early days of cruising. And I love that.
So that was probably my biggest surprise.
I was surprised as soon as we walked in and you looked, you thought, oh my, because you look from the outside and the ship looks very slim on the water. And then you walk inside and there's like this 3 tiers looking down to the dining room, which is just fantastic, like this beautiful atrium.
It's like that they
used to decorate every day, depending on the buffet on the lunchtime. So we had Italian buffet, we had Oriental buffet. What other buffets did we have?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did. I'm sure if Dan the Cruiser, it pops up.
Loads of different.
There was loads of, and they would have different flags up. It was just the way that they did with the amount of space they had was absolutely fantastic.
They made the absolute most of everything.
And anyone around the ship, and I've got to give a shout out to Preston if you're watching. He was one of the sort of utility guys that basically does a bit of everything. And we always end up having a chat with him, and he was great fun, wasn't he? So
I don't know what his job was on there. I don't think he did, to be honest.
No, I think he just did a bit of everything. Ken Go Through and said, how high was that mast? So, by the way, I haven't got rid of this weirdo. We'd never want to get rid of you, Ken.
I don't.
Google it. How high is the mast? Paul, you climbed the mast.
It was high, but I didn't climb to the top of the mast. There's a platform on sort of, I'm going to say, not 3/4, halfway up, a third up, 7/8 up.
Yeah, if you've been watching our social media, you'll have seen it.
Let me Google it for you, Ken. But Carol's gonna.
Well, I'll carry on while you're doing that. So those that don't know, that they allow you to climb up the mast, which is done obviously with safety with a harness on. And Paul, we tried to do it near the beginning of the cruise, and then it stopped, did it? Because it was going for an hour, and there were so many people that wanted to do it. But then you did it towards the end of the cruise, which was great. So let's say, Bridget's saying, welcome back, guys. Las Vegas is going to be 105 today. So would you go back on a clipper? Yes, we would. Definitely. CJ Stones is saying, loved all the shorts of your latest trip. Hope it was more than Paul was expecting. It was, because for those that you know, Paul was not. It took me about 3 months to kick Paul into going on this cruise. Dan and I had to really persuade him to do it.
I haven't made my mind up yet. The main mast is 197 feet high.
Is it?
Yeah.
But you didn't go up that high.
Well, no, because I didn't go to the top of it, did I?
I know.
I went high enough. I didn't see you going up there.
No, I was never going to go up there, was I? Never going to go up there.
I think I went up about 300 foot, even though it was only 197. I would have said I probably went up 75, 80 foot, do you think it was?
I don't know what that looks like. But anyway, you said you were quite scared, to be fair, didn't you?
I got to be honest.
It was
and I had trouble as well, because when you got, you had to, it was metal cables with ropes going across as the rungs of the ladder. Because somebody said, it was just a ladder you went up. No, believe me, it wasn't a ladder I went up. It was just ropes. And of course, when you put your foot on the rope, they're all wobbling around. But you had to go sort of almost to the top of where you were going. But then you had to change over to another rope to go the final bit, which then you went through like a hatch to get onto the platform. And when it got to the top, the distance between the rungs was changing, and I was really struggling to lift me leg up high enough to get it off the rope part. Because I was a little bit scared, I was putting my foot on too far. So when it was time to take it off again, it made it more difficult. Whereas if I'd only been putting me end of my toes on there, it would have made it easier. But yeah, it was. I did have to have a little sit down and have a little rest when I got to the top, I must admit.
Yeah. And my arms were really aching because I had to hold up two cameras. I had the GoPro and I had my phone.
I mean, she put her life on the line, mind, for doing that.
I did. So CJ Stone is just saying, love the shorts of your latest trip. Hope it was more than Paul was expecting. Great link up with the Cruising Canucks. Yeah, we were live with the Cruising Canucks on Sunday because they're going on their first Cunard cruise. So do check that out if you want to know all about Cunard. So let's have a look here. Let's see what other questions we've got. So many people chatting in there. Let's see. Sherry saying, question, were there any solos on there or just families and couples? How many people on board? Yes, there were solos, Sherry. Solos.
I didn't realise that it's married to Sean Connery. Those solos, Sherry.
There were quite a few solos, weren't
There
there?
were solos, and it was at capacity, and it was 227 was the capacity, and it was at full capacity. We were led to believe it was full capacity, but yes, there were solos.
And there was just one family, really. There wasn't there with a youngish boy who was, well, he wasn't very young. He was probably about 14.
Yeah.
So it was mainly couples, wasn't it? Mainly
there was,
couples our sort of age and a bit above.
And there was one of the loveliest stories in all the history of our 55 cruises. There was this guy called Gene.
Yes.
And his wife had a heart transplant. And Gene invited all of the family that the heart transplant came from onto the cruise and paid for him to go on the cruise. So there was
about 24 of them.
There was a load of them. They had their own separate dining room.
And one of his granddaughter was getting married on there.
Yeah. So that was lovely.
We met some fantastic people. Some really just lovely people. It was brilliant. Paul and Louise, you're saying about would you go on the cruise again? I think you probably already answered that. And Alison Bay saying, "Are you a convert now?" Which you are. Congrats for getting up
I think I am.
The rigging. Hawks Travel. So Jim and Dwayne say, will you two be joining the tour ships races in future? Now you're true sailors. No.
Well, we have a tour ship festival in Gloucester because we've got quite a famous docks in Gloucester, and it was on fairly recently.
But that's where they do the dragon race.
But they have proper tour ships there. That's why it's called the tour ship festival.
No, I know that.
But they do dragon boat racing. But there was outrage because they wanted like a fortune to go in there. So it wasn't very successful at all. It sort of it bit them on the bum a bit, really, because they thought they were going to coin. You don't know anything about this because you don't sort of read what's going on in the local. But they're saying that next year they're going to totally rethink their pricing strategies. So
that's good then.
Yeah.
Kelsey said my friend was on Rocky Mountain, so it's been scary for them. Yeah, I bet it has been. It's been so sad seeing Jasper and that. It's just devastating. The fires. But there's fires. It's more in California. It's all getting more and more. Thank you, Nick, for so if you've like a sort of a bit of a t-shirt that Paulie's got on or anything, then do check out our
I don't know
shop.
what's going on with that though, Mr. BBT, because I don't think he's going to be upset if I say he was at the start of this journey. He was a bit of a technophobe.
Yes.
Like he'd have to change rooms to do a Zoom call and all sorts of stuff like that. And now he's putting links on. He's a top bloke.
He is.
I mean, he's a Leo, so, you're going to know he's a top bloke because all the best men in the world are a Leo.
Well, you're being a bit biased, I think, aren't you?
I don't think I am, and I think Nick will agree with me.
Kevin's saying thank you. You're very, very welcome. Jane saying, what a wonderful experience at sea. If you really want to get back to sort of hardcore sort of sailing, not hardcore.
Yeah, because you make it sound like they make you row and stuff. If you want to
see how a sailing ship works, because they're very, very good at education, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the captain did. It was story time with the captain. And he sat there, I think it was 3 evenings, early evening, was about 6:30, and sat and answered any questions and talked about his life at sea and how different it is from being the captain of a tour ship than it is to anything else. So Blind Man Cruising, nice to see you here. Right, how does the social aspect work on the Royal Clipper? Very jealous. The social aspect, do you mean, what would you interpret that as? Well, everyone was very sociable.
I don't know if you mean sort of like the socializing in the day-to-day, but I have to say there was quite a cross-section of nationalities, Germans, French, there were some Americans, some Canadians, there were some Brits. There wasn't many Brits, was there?
No.
But I have to say,
it was a really good mix.
That for the most part, everybody spoke to everybody, didn't they?
There were two main areas really for socializing. Obviously I had you had the sun deck on the top, and then below you had a place called the Tropical Bar, which was lovely. It was this lovely open space. I must say, though, the one criticism we've got is that the seats there were like either deck chairs or like box seats. And we all decided that after you sat there for a little while having a drink, or the bar stools were so high and quite uncomfortable, all that needs to be added there is, please can you put some cushions on those chairs, because your bum got so numb, didn't it?
To coin a phrase that I think my mum used to say, our bottoms were so stiff by halfway through the night we could have cracked walnuts with our bum cheeks.
We could have. But it was a beautiful place. It was open to the air, and it was lovely. Yeah. And then inside you had a piano bar, which was actually looked over into the atrium, and that was a really nice area that's got very comfortable seating that you could sit, and you could and it was air conned. So actually, the sociable areas were. I thought the flow of the ship it worked well.
It wasn't. I'm gonna say it's as like as a negative. We did have about 3 hours of rain the one day, and it was proper thunder and lightning and hammering down. But the weather was lovely every day apart from that, and every evening, and that meant that nobody would sit in the piano lounge in the evening, because even the entertainment would be in the tropical bar because the weather was so lovely.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if the weather was a little bit inclement, I would imagine that would have all moved inside, and you would have had the comfortable seating. But if you've got, I mean, it was still 28 degrees at like 10 o'clock at night, wasn't it? So
it was. Jerry's here. So let me see you, Jerry. Would you rather have onboard credit or a lower base price for cruising? Lower base price. Yeah, definitely. It's nice to have onboard credit, isn't it?
Because at the end of the day, onboard credit, you've got to give them back anyway. So it's not like
you do. But it's nice to have, isn't it? Because it does pay some bills. But yeah, we'd rather have a lower base price for cruising, because cruising, there are deals to be had out there, aren't there? But it's a lot more expensive than it used to be. The Dodods are sweaty in Leeds. Everyone's talking about how hot it is, isn't it? Please stay safe. Everyone's kudos to Kevin Austin. Exactly that. So, so Tina's asking, with all the wonderful places you go to, how do you keep so many photos? Do you have a memory card, or do you have them just on your PC? We have external drives that I put all our
So we got one of them that Carole puts all her stuff on. And have we got a memory card? We've got about 30 memory cards, I would imagine.
Yes. This is my travel. This is because I've been working on this is my travel external drive that I put. Or when I go away, I've got an external drive that I take when we're traveling, and then when I come home, I transfer it all back onto another external drive, which I keep in this little cupboard here. And when the external drives are full, so if I'm looking for different, and they're all labeled also our trips. So if I ever want to go through all our photos of that, they're on our external drives, which I think is the best way to keep it. Do keep some on our PC, and I've got Google Drive, but obviously those things sometimes you have to pay for, don't you? So paying for an external drive and keeping that's the way that we keep them. And obviously now phones hold so many photos too, don't they?
You say so many photos. My phone hasn't been updated for 2 years because I got too many photos on there, and it says.
But you got a new phone.
Yeah, but I still got too many photos on there.
Well, then you need to. Anyway, Paulie will just sit down and just sort it out with you.
Because I know in 5 years' time, Carole will say, "Have you got a picture of that egg and chips you had when we was in that little cafe in Stratford upon Avon?"
Yeah, I do sometimes.
And if I haven't got it, it'd be, I can't believe it.
So Rock Doc's asking, do you do any work for your videos while you're on a cruise? I need a new computer and whether to buy a laptop for working away or desktop to do it all at home. I try to do some. On the last trip, it was a bit impossible because I normally spend more time in the cabin just transferring all over my stuff onto my external drive each day. But because our cabin was so small, I didn't have a desk. So I had to use the pillow. I had my laptop on the pillow, and it just wasn't working. So on this cruise, no. But on other cruises, I do tend to take my laptop, and we do tend to do bits and bobs as we're going along, just so that when I get home, I don't have to then think what happened that day. I put it all in day one, wherever we do, day 3, day 4. So it's all on the external drive, and I can find things easily.
It's all stuff that sounds simple, but 2 years ago, Carole would get home and she would have 7,000 photos with no sort of reference to where they're from, what they're for, etc., etc. But obviously, the more organized she is throughout the cruise with putting her photos in certain places, the easier it is when she gets home to drop stuff into the video and then decide what's going to get the chop and what's going to make the final.
Exactly.
Final cut.
Yeah, exactly that. So I've seen everyone's just talking about the fires and stuff, aren't they? And chatting amongst each other. So that's lovely. Kath saying such a beautiful ship. Closest I've come to say was on Windsurf years ago. That went on 320 passengers. Loved it. It's a great cruising with less passengers is really lovely, and it's quite nice, isn't it, to have that small ship experience. Yeah. So definitely, it's really made us think about what sort of cruising we want to do in the future. Obviously, we'll always do our ocean cruising, but we will definitely be looking to do more sort of unique experiences because this was really special. So glad you had a good time. Thank you very much. Di Lovesy is saying, greetings from the Forest of Dean. It goes without saying what a spectacular ship. The inside of the ship looked like the TARDIS. Was it spacious? It actually was.
Apart from our cabin, everything was spacious.
Oh, it had the sloop, which was the shop, wasn't it? Which was quite a big area. They had a little gym. Well, it wasn't little, actually. It was a decent-sized gym, which was by the spa. And that was actually underwater. And that was lovely because you could look through the portholes. And one of the portholes was just at the sort of waterline, so it would bubble away. And that was great. But there was plenty of space. We never felt that we couldn't get a seat or it felt crowded, even in the dining room when it was busy. And dinner was any time between 7:30 and 10. So you could just go whenever you wanted to go. If you do like a table for two, there were only two that we spotted right at the entrance that actually sometimes was set up for three. So always you're joining other people for dinner if you're traveling as a couple. And some people, if you don't like that, then that is the fact.
Yeah.
We don't mind chatting with people and sharing tables.
Well, we did, but we got no choice.
Well, no, but we were with Dan and Tony, and we would get in there at 7:30, and we found a lovely table where we had Rial looking after us, which was great. So we just went there at 7:30, and it worked really well. But it depends what you want to do. Some people don't want to eat that early, do they? So it just depends. Gina says she's late coming in. She's having a takeaway. Oh, talk about food. We had a lovely surprise through the post today, which I got to show you. And I've got to say, thank you. It was a belated birthday present from our lovely friends, Travel with Johnny and Will, who aren't here tonight because they're actually on a cruise. They're on the Ambassador Ambience, and they're in Falmouth today. But look, they sent us the Cornish Company afternoon tea box. And it's been awesome, hasn't it, Paulie? Well, in there was, I got some pictures to show you because if you want something Cornish, then this is a great gift. And I've never heard of the Cornish Company before, but it came as a gift like this with all the clotted cream. You've got the Rhodes clotted cream and all your scones, and you've got your strawberry jam, your tea, some biscuits, and also inside the ice bag, which had the cream in, there was 2 pasties, which we've just had for our tea. So that was absolutely lovely. So I just want to say, Johnny, thank you so much.
Yeah, so it was much appreciated.
For just so kind to send me a belated birthday present. So thank you so much.
And if you're wondering, when we say we had them for our tea, that's dinner to some people.
Yeah, we say most Brits are a bit funny. Some of us say that we have lunch. We have dinner at lunchtime and tea at dinner time. So that's what we say, isn't it?
No.
So we just had our tea.
We have breakfast, lunch, and tea. We never have dinner. No, we have breakfast, dinner, and tea. We never have lunch.
Exactly.
If you have lunch, you're posh.
Exactly that. Right, let's have a look. Let's see. Sherry said, weird, I had a ton of entertainment on my Avalon River Cruise in April. Oh, really? We had the singers and that come on, but it was all very, very much low-key, wasn't it? So, what's Sail Croatia, please? Sail Croatia is a company that has small boats, basically. They're not ships, are they? They're boats that cater for different age groups. They do like sort of party cruises for obviously people in their 20s, 30s. Then they do family cruises, and then they do what they call elegance cruises. And we went on an elegance cruise, which is aimed for sort of 40 plus, which is a little bit sort of posher, a little bit more. It
wasn't posh.
It wasn't posh, but it was a little bit more elegant.
What it was, the elegant element of it is it wasn't a load of 18-year-olds drunk all the time, jumping off the top of the boat, which is what you will get with some of the Sail Croatia cruises if you pick that boat. So if you want to go party like old school 1830, there's a boat for you. The boat for us, and if you're of our mindset, would be the Elegance one, which is a much more not sedate, because there was plenty going on, but not like crazy.
Yeah, it was just more geared to our age group, but it was fantastic. So yeah, I would definitely recommend. And the Gaming Horse asking, would we ever consider a Mississippi River cruise? We would, doing a paddle steamer. I've also looked at the lakes in Canada. They look quite interesting to cruise around, don't they? So
we did look at that American, whatever
Queen.
it's called, American Queen, but apparently it's gone down the pooper. So,
well, I'm not sure if it's been bought. I'm not sure what's Kevin's just put, thank you, Kevin. He's just put the link up for Sail Croatia. So go and check out our videos about that, because if you do want to try sailing as such, but not as an extent of being on a Royal Clipper, then that's a really good starting point. Yeah. And it was fabulous with the daily swims and stuff, because that was the one thing about Royal Clipper. It's got a marina platform. So the back end of the ship just comes down as a platform, and you can dive straight off there and you're in the ocean, and that was fantastic. And on there they actually tie on all these inflatable beds with a rope, so you could just swim out to them and lie on those. They also had canoes and paddle boards, and what else did they have? Snorkeling equipment. So if you wanted to do that, and that was fantastic. It was good, wasn't it?
Really good.
So yeah, we did that. Gillian's asking, would you put air on in your home? We could not do without it. To be honest with Gillian, where we live in England, it doesn't get hot. It probably gets hot about 3 weeks a year. So wouldn't be worth our money to put aircon in our house.
My dad's got a portable air conditioning unit, but he's too much of a tight ass to put it on. But but no, we haven't. We got a couple of fans going, and that's it, because we know that in this time next week it'd be 3 foot of rain.
Yeah, exactly that. Just reading that's there. You're doing a Norman Collier, Paulie.
What?
Don't know. So Nick's asking, we're off on a Cunard cruise from Southampton in 2026. How do you get to the terminal? Taxi or self-drive? Well, it depends on where you're parking.
Yeah, if you stay at the Holiday Inn, which is where we met up for our meetup earlier in the year, and you do the stay and park option, that also includes a taxi to and from the port. But if I don't know that any other hotels do that option, so you'd have to get a taxi.
I think there are others that do that.
What, they actually taxi you to the port?
They can offer a transfer.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
but I know,
but if you're parking at
is...
CPS, then you would just drive straight to the terminal, park with CPS, and then they take your car away. So it depends on what you decide to do with the parking. We're buffering a bit, were we?
Oh, well, that's what I was saying about Norman Collier then.
But that's why the comment only frozen. Oh, that's unusual, because we got our are we okay now? Let us know. Let me go down to the bottom of the comments to make sure that we're okay now. So do let us know, because that's unusual. Our Wi-Fi is normally pretty good when we're at home. So do let us know if you can hear us and see us okay. Nobody's answering. Oh, so that's why you're doing the normal Collier then, Paulie. Oh, so hopefully we're all right now. But just saying, when we were doing it through the go to the bottom.
Yeah.
7:42.
I'm just looking at the time.
No, we're all good. They're saying they're all good.
Okay, cool.
So that's lovely. Thank you very, very much. So let's have a look. Buffering during your buffet review. So no issues for me. So that's good. Right, let's get to the next question. Kevin B. Right then. Did anyone have to walk the plank, and how was the grog?
There was no walking of the plank, and the grog was pretty good.
The grog was cheap, wasn't it?
Grog, if you were a wine drinker, I have to say,
bar prices were
easily the cheapest glass of wine you will ever encounter on a cruise is on Royal Clipper, and it's €3.50 for a
Good
decent glass of Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes.
And it's a good sized glass.
Yeah.
So that's about £3. So we're talking
excellent.
that's prices from 10 years ago plus. But a beer which was about 330 millish was €3.50. So that was €6.50. So about £6 a pint. But the wine was absolutely dirt cheap. And it was €7 for most cocktails, which is again about £6.
Yeah.
So not
we didn't think the prices were very bad at all.
No.
So Alice asked, does the ship lean while sailing?
Yes. We had the one day when we really caught the wind and it was like a proper job. It was like that, but it was a constant. So you sort of had to tell your brain that your one leg was shorter than the other when you got up, but it was a constant. It wasn't like it was going like this. It was on.
But that was only one occasion.
But that was on one occasion where I think he must have had all the sails up and he seriously caught the wind, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So,
but apart from that, you had a gentle sort of the front to back, that sort of motion, wasn't it? It was just, it was very pleasant. I didn't feel like I did on Azamara. I felt quite seasick tonight when we were going around Australia. I didn't even feel seasick on there at all. And it was just a lovely little movement that was very sort of just soothing to get you to sleep, wasn't it? It was a nice, and most of the time we didn't feel any movement at all.
Well, I couldn't feel anything because I was wedged up against the wall, so I didn't.
So Sharon's asking, we're looking at booking a cruise for the end of October to Turkey, Greece, and Cyprus. Never been cruising this time of year. Is everything still open in ports this time of year? Now, from a package point of view, normally places do actually start winding down, don't they, in October?
Especially Greece and Cyprus.
Yeah. So we haven't cruised to that part of the world at that time. So if anyone in the comments has, you'd like to think there'll be some things still open, but it depends on what your ports are. If your ports are going to sort of big towns or cities, then there's going to be things. But if it's going to go into remote ports, then that might be a little bit difficult. But saying that, sometimes when you cruise, it's like you can go somewhere, it's a bank holiday. Like we've been to Hamburg, haven't we? Yeah. On a bank holiday, and you go to Hamburg, and you're like, well, nothing's open. Or we were in Gaeta on our last day, and it was between 1 and 5, and actually it seemed like everyone had gone for a siesta, hadn't they? Because there was just nothing open.
Well, there's a couple of bars and restaurants open, but hardly anything, and it was quite a big place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So it'd be a nice time of year to go because the things will be quieting down. It'd be nice and got a lovely temperature. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone else has got any input in that. Oh, Jim and Dwayne saying those rungs are called rattlings, Paul. I used to love climbing them at sea when the ship's leaning.
It was, no, I'll tell you something now. It was my knees that was rattling.
So Paul and Louise are asking, what was your favourite port and why?
Well, that's a good question.
Two come in my head. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go on.
I love Sorrento. We stayed in Sorrento. When the other good thing about Royal Clipper is that on a couple of our ports, we didn't leave till about 11 o'clock at night, and that was fantastic. So we had time to explore in the afternoon and in the evening, and we stayed out in Sorrento and had a fantastic meal, didn't we?
Yeah.
And a good walk around and watch the sunset, and that was pretty special. And the other place that I really liked, even though it was jam-packed full of people, was Amalfi. That was just absolutely amazing. And I bought my bauble. Have you got my bauble, Paulie?
No.
Go and grab my bauble. I'm collecting Christmas baubles from wherever we go. It's in the red box on the table. I can't wait to show you my bauble.
You're on a live every day. Go and grab me baubles.
I know. So Amalfi, but it was busy. But we're end of July on the Amalfi coast in Italy, and we knew it was going to be hot. We knew it was going to be busy. So that's it. But look at this.
Come on, I just
comes in a lovely red box.
Smash my elbow on the,
You got another one. Look at this. I have to take your thing off so people can see the wonders of my Amalfi lemon bauble. Look at that. I think that's just amazing. Don't you, Paulie?
Oh, it's fabulous.
And I've got to thank Dan the Cruiser for this, actually, because I was looking at all these baubles. No,
he just pointed at it and said, that's nice.
He spotted it. So there you are. So that's the new addition to the Christmas tree later on this year.
It's worth going on the cruise just for that.
It is. Right.
And I have to agree with Sorrento and Amalfi. And what was great about Sorrento is when we got off, it was raining. Well, actually, we went into port, we had a big thunderclap and some lightning, and then it rained. And you have to get in a lift to go to the top of the cliff, which is where Sorrento is.
Well, you can walk.
You can walk, but it's 8 to 4 days. But by the time we got up there, it was raining even heavier. So we had to stop for some refreshments. And then it all cleared up, and it was hot as a mofo, wasn't it, the rest of the day. And so that's why we stayed out and had a meal. And
it was lovely. It was
but
lovely.
yeah, Amalfi was just
the coastline's just
bonkers.
Beautiful, and the water there when you're just getting off for a swim, the water was just clear, and it was absolutely beautiful. Grant says, "Shall we do a river cruise next, or shall we do Norwegian fjords?" It's entirely up to you, Grant. Norwegian fjords, you can never go wrong with the fjords, and river cruise depending on where you want to go. We've done the Danube and the Rhine, and we do both again, wouldn't we?
Yeah, really
so
nice.
Whatever you think is best for you. Jane Bullock saying about you very brave.
I agree, Jane.
It was good to see Dan Cruise making a splash on this cruise. Yeah, we had some fun. We were with Dan and Dan's dad, Tony, and they were fabulous company. And jumping off the back of that, do check out our stories and also Dan the Cruiser's Instagram, because he's got some fantastic reels that he's put up about it too. And Anne's just saying, love Dan's splash. Yeah, that was brilliant.
I don't want to steal Dan's thunder, but that was my idea, putting that splash on it at the end.
It was. So, Life of the Lucy England, just saying, what makes you want to try that type of cruise? I don't think I could ever.
Well, it's like apples and oranges, isn't it? If we were all the same, it'd be a boring old world.
I particularly, it takes me a long time.
Ironically, I didn't want to do it.
It takes me a long time I want to try all sorts of different things and different holidays, not just cruising, but land-based things. I've got so many ideas in my head what I want to do over the next few years.
She's just ordered a pineapple off Amazon, so she wants to try all sorts of stuff.
No, I have not. So, Paul is very much a creature of habit, and when he finds something he likes, he wants to stick to doing that. Where I'm very much like, right, we've done that, let's try something new. So I'll always be looking for new cruise lines and new experiences. And that excites me, but that doesn't scare you. That's not the right word, but you don't feel so comfortable doing that, do you?
I think what I felt, and I said this from the start, what I felt with the Royal Clipper thing it was quite, compared to ocean cruising, it was very expensive in my humble opinion. And we managed to get the price down a bit, but obviously by going for a smaller cabin. But it is a totally different experience. River cruising is different to ocean cruising, and clipper cruising is different again. There's apart from the fact that you're on water, that's about where the comparisons end, to be honest. It's totally different experience. And you'll either love it, or I don't think there's any middle ground. I think you'll love it or you'll hate it.
Well, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's have a look. Tio said, I've been on a few Windjammer cruises, sadly no longer in business. They're called Barefoot Cruise because they were very casual. Is the Royal Clipper the same? It was very during the day, anything went, wasn't it? If you're talking about sort of dressing, and it was very, very chilled. The only thing that you had to dress for was they did say that they would like, these pop-ups coming up, that they wanted you to have trousers and a shirt on for dinner.
Not a shirt, because there was lots of people had like just polo shirts, and some people had t-shirts. But long trousers, they did like you to wear long trousers for the evening meal. But for breakfast and for lunch, you could wear shorts, you could wear a vest. They did try and encourage you to wear something on your feet.
Yes.
Because they didn't like people walking around barefoot in case there was
Well, you don't know, do you? Why would you want to walk around barefoot?
Because people are weird.
Well, they are. Natalie Green's made it to a live. Yay. Oh, she's put a picture of the tortoise. My garden, when I come back, because we've had obviously family staying here, it's like, oh my God, jungle. And I was picking off all the flowers off my Evening Primrose, and Nat and Al popped in to say hi, and I had a big bag full of Evening Primrose's flowers, and she fed them to the tortoise, and she sent us a picture of Colin enjoying them, wouldn't he? That did make us smile. Sheila saying go Saga again. Yep, Saga's great. 999. That's a very different experience again, isn't it? Ken's asking about rough weather. I think we probably answered that. Did the ship handle it? It did handle it, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have anything too bad, but
just that one sort of rain and wind.
There was just a few days that when they put the marina platform down at the back, they had to cancel that a few days because if it was a bit choppy. But you could be sat on the ship and you wouldn't feel it. But when you're down at sea level, it was a bit chippy choppy, which made for the very entertaining tender rides.
It did. And saying, don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, please. If you enjoy our lives, then please do that. And Christy's here. Love to see you, Christy. We'll be seeing you soon, won't we, in September? Yes. So that'd be great. Is clotted cream sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Yeah, we don't have it in Alabama, USA.
It's sweet.
It's sweet.
It's
lovely.
Sweet and it's lovely.
Catherine said, oh my God, that's spooky. My mum's birthday today and she received one of those Cornish boxes. They do all sorts. I haven't showed Paul yet because he's been out doing some car business today, but they do a cider box. But it's got Rattler and all in it. It's got Cornish, like the real strong ciders. They do cheese boxes. They do all sorts, don't they? So do check them out. It was a great present from Johnny and Will. Jill and Sana were asked about the drink choices, so hopefully we've answered that for you. And Jerry's asking, were excursions drinks included on the Clipper? No, they were all additional excursions, but you could book them at any time.
I got to be honest, we didn't look at any of the excursions because we were quite happy to just have a milk tray in the ports because it was so easy to get to. But if we went back on the same itinerary, we would look at excursions for some of the ports because when we had a walk around, there wasn't loads going on.
Every new port we go to, we never book an excursion. These are all new ports. So we always like to see what's actually right near the port or not right near the ship, because that's questions we get asked all the time. So we want to say, right, is there something within the close vicinity, etc. So yeah, there was a couple of Gaeta, and the other one, which was the one to get to Taormina, was very, very, there was not a huge amount going on. So we would definitely do excursions going back there. But yeah, they weren't included. Yeah, Dan's answered the question as well. I don't think it's included. So that's fine. So Bob's saying she does breakfast, lunch, and supper. I'm an American in Australia trying to convert Aussies.
Good luck with that.
So they're saying, let me just have a look. Oh, we just had a super chat. Oh, let me just find that because I want to pop that on the screen for that. Kevin's just saying, so for some nice cold wine and Thatchers. Oh, thank you, Kevin. You're a very kind man.
So much more to think about than looking after us, but we really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's have a look at what other questions you've got. Right, let's go back up. Where was I? Oh, no buffering scenes. Commodore Steve's here. So nice to see you here. So thank you for joining. They're talking about the rum swizzle parties. We didn't have any rum swizzle parties, but we did have some really good entertainment. The team and is it Monia, the cruise director? She was great. She was everywhere. And of course, because there was different nationalities on, they had the program was in English, in French, and in German. And she spoke whenever there was announcements. It was always first in English, then it was French, then it was German, or German and French. So let's have a look. So everything's okay. They're talking about the fires. Gillian saying, Elaine's just joined us. So nice to see you here. We froze on the TV apparently, but didn't on the phone. So that's cool.
Oh dear, who wants our ugly mug stuck on the TV?
And Lion was asking, did Paul get cider on the ship?
No, there was no. They did have canned Guinness, but they had one draft lager, and they had some different canned lagers. But other than that, it was all You know, they had wines and spirits and stuff like that, but no cider.
Dan said he had the Baileys. Yeah, Dan was on double Baileys at some time. Dan doesn't drink very much at all, but he did get into the old Baileys.
And we had a few mudslides as well. They were delicious.
Yes, you did. I didn't.
Yeah, they were lovely.
Auntie G saying, regarding the Lakes Canada cruise, the Hamburg does great Lakes cruise every autumn. Is ship with German as on board language, but of course the cruise speaks English. Maybe you should give it a try. I do want to definitely do some different things after doing this experience. So the Doddle saying, did you meet Captain Pugwash and have the theme song stuck in your head ever since the sailing? But the theme tune, the Vangelis, Conquest of Paradise, once that's on, and then you think, God, that's in my head, right, get that out of my head, and then Dan would start singing it, wouldn't he?
Playing it on his phone.
And singing it or whistling it.
He's a naughty child, he was.
Let's have a look.
It was all the E numbers from them Bailers.
So Ken's going to saying that answering your question, Sharon, that we cruised in most of those areas in November, even over Egypt, and most things were open and the temperature was great. So thank you very much for that. And Laura's just saying, I've cruised at that time. It varies. I agree with Carole said about winding down. The real touristy islands group, some shops were closed and others open. So that's people saying they love my bauble. Look.
Well, it's for sale. It's for sale. It's €85.
Alison's asking, did we partake in the limoncello? We didn't, because we're not huge fans. We've had it before, and I must admit, it's too lemony for us. And I love lemon stuff, but let's have a look down there. And Nick and Tracy have just given us some for more Thatchers and Co wine. Oh, thank you so much. It is the weather for Thatchers and wine, isn't it?
Don't say that, mate, because I've got a couple of cans in the fridge.
Oh, let's see if we've got any more. If you've got any more questions, then please talk about pineapples there. For the money we paid, you would prefer the ocean cruise. It depends what your priorities are, isn't it?
That's what I mean. And it is a totally different animal. And that's why I think when you get on the ship, you realize where your money's going, is because you don't wait for anything. I don't know what the crew to passenger ratio was, but there was always crew around. There was never like waiting an hour and a half for a drink and all that. It was just like, well, sometimes I have to be honest, there was one bar lady, which one was it, who sang in the crew show?
Oh, Charmaine.
And she would bring me beer whether I wanted it or not. I just sit down. There was a bit of beer was there, and it's like, well, you ordered that. She said, well, I knew you'd want a beer, so
Staff
I just
were lovely. We had such a good laugh with them. Linda's saying as well, they're about doing rail. We've done a couple of great rail journeys. Yeah, after doing the Rocky Mountaineer, we said, and after doing the one to Edinburgh, Sean, if you're still here, we've said we want to do more train journeys, haven't we? In fact, we've just signed up for a 2 couples card, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which gets us 30% off train, because we want to get out and about on the train a bit more. So let's see. So Paul and Louise are asking, when is your next cruise? Well, our next cruise, we've had an exciting email exchange, so we're hoping that comes to fruition, which we can't say yet because it hasn't been confirmed. But if that doesn't come to fruition, then we are on Gary Bembridge's group cruise in the 19th of September, sailing out of Boston up to Canada. So, and we're on the Celebrity Eclipse, which we're really, really excited about.
Which answers my question, because a mate of mine's just messaged me and said, are you available to come out for a drink on the 20th of September?
No, you're not. Sadly. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
William's just saying, I love how adventurous you both are. And Dan's just giving us $1.99 towards your Thatcher's Gold.
No, he's given me $1.99. Do you drink Thatcher's Gold?
No.
So who's it for then?
You. Kath says, love Surrender and Harvey. Was the sail away at any of the ports? There was a sail away, even though you attended, it was time for sail away, and they had music on in the tropical bar, and then they had all the sails and the music. So there was an element of a sail away party every time you left, and that was nice, wasn't it?
It was just like a normal sail away, except you would pull the anchor up and then off you'd go. So it was all the elements of a sail away without the manoeuvring out of port, wasn't it, really?
Exactly. JBM's asking, should I put that to count as poor stink out the bathroom? Oh, sometimes. They're also
because I'm a gentleman. I'm not even going to say anything about that. But I think.
And they're also asking, when's the next hotel review? Well, we've got our next. Coming out this Friday, we've got our last of our Japan videos, which is this one here, which is don't do this in Japan, because we've got a tips and let me just get that one off the screen there. Yes, so don't do this in Japan. We put together a video of all the things that we've learned, from etiquette to rules to just from smoking to all sorts.
This isn't about our adventure. This is solely about, if you're thinking about going to Japan, you need to watch this video, because there's some stuff. If anybody watches this video and says, "Oh, I knew all of those things," I'm going to call you a fibber.
Yeah, because all the things that we learned,
so many things on there that we didn't know.
And then we thought,
if you watch this, I'm going to say it. I'm not going. And if you watch this video, it's going to save you from looking like a silly Billy.
Well, it's just all the things that we learned, basically. So that's going out Friday. And then I shall be working on Aurora. So, and I also got a video about the Premier Inn in Southampton, because it had a refurb. So that will be coming out as well. And we've got our Paul and Carole meets with Ken and Lindsay. Ken goes cruise and Lindsay. We sat down with them and caught up with, obviously, on one of our Paul and Carole meet series. So that's coming out soon too. So yes, look at all this popping up now. So Dan said there's 199 towards the Bloody Mary. And Anne just said here's some towards the wine.
Oh, see, I've started something now. They're all picking on me now. We're giving you stuff.
And Tina said there you are. There's to go through. So thank you all so much for your generosity. It's been a fun night as always, hasn't it?
Yes.
We've enjoyed chatting to you about Royal Clipper. Hopefully it's given you an idea of what that type of cruising is about. Obviously a vlog series will be coming out. I'm just looking at our video schedule at the moment, because it's pretty full, isn't it? Full on at the moment. So we'll let you know as soon as they're coming. But like I say, the next step, make sure if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and watch our video on Friday. We will be live again next Tuesday. We're finding that at the moment, with what's going on with family and stuff, Tuesdays are working. So we'll be live again on Tuesday, and we hope to see you all here again. Anything else to add, Paulie Morgan?
Just making notes of when the live is, because obviously I need to be here. No, I think that's I think it's fabulous. It's thumbs up.
Yes, fireworks to end.
Thank you all so much for your generosity and for all your support over the years. It's been great.
It has.
And long may it continue.
Exactly that. So thanks ever so much, everyone, and we will see you